What if I told you Scott's balls were the key to solving modern FNAF? No? No one? Alright, well, for this video, I just want to focus on the connections between the Vanni Network and the ball pit from Into the Pit, because weirdly they have so many similarities, yet you would never think they were the same. One story seems to be about time travel and the other augmented reality, one seeming to have normal physics and the other letting you walk through walls. Yet the strangest abilities of the Vanni Network does apply for the ball pit. And that's what I want to focus on for today, because Into the Pit has been a story told over 3 times now, and I'm starting to pick up what we're missing. Starting off, the ball pit weirdly shares connections with Vanni of all characters. Now, to clarify how the network in Ruin works, it seems like every person has an alternative self within the network, but those individual selves can be altered. This is best seen with Sun and Moon. Only one of the two sides can accompany the real world while the other is stuck in the network, the two stuck as one entity but clearly having different attitudes and builds. The destruction of Moon is clearly not the same as the destruction of Sun, just like how Vanni isn't dressed like Vanessa, yet with a blink of the eye, both can switch into their alternative selves. This is how Vanessa is able to switch to Vanni on live feed when they're the same person. The same also being true for Sun and Moon, and now we're seeing it with another character, Oswald's dad. Oswald's father is a hardworking man who's willing to do anything for his son to make him feel better. He's nowhere near an evil character like the Yellow Rabbit. However, just like Vanessa, he has an alternative evil inside of him. It's actually ironic that both of these characters just so happen to have evil personas created by a Spring Bonnie clone. That's Pit Trap for the father and Glitch Trap for Vanessa. It's just strange that Into the Pit puts a focus on us saving our father when he was just going to turn into the Yellow Rabbit anyway. That for the rest of the world to see our dad, but we know him for what he actually is. Let's talk about that. We saved our father in the beginning of the game just to reveal that somehow he was still stuck in the pit. The only reason this could happen is if Pit Trap is swapping in the same way that Moon and Vanni does. That upon taking control, the other self is stored in the other world. The reason why the dad is never able to retake control is similar to why Sun was unable to do so in Ruin. Since the lights went out in the daycare, Moon was able to stay in control. For Pit Trap, we learned that Oswald's father was unconscious the entire time. So already we have similar mechanics with similar faces, but everything is about to change because of a rat. No, I'm serious, just a rat. Well, that in a murderous rabbit suit, but for now, a rat. So first we gotta talk about how this game isn't just time traveling. Most major fans agree with that, but obviously a bunch of newcomers would be confused. The obvious point that proves that this isn't time travel is a photo of William and Henry. This photo, upon being seen by the Yellow Rabbit, actually sends him into a state of shock. The reason being is because this Yellow Rabbit isn't actually the real deal. The real deal was William Afton using a spring-lock suit. That's what actually happened. However, this alternative reality has chosen a form of a living suit, no human to be found. So once this entity is confronted with what actually happened, it gets really confused and frustrated. I'll make sure to explain more in the wrap up. So if this isn't the actual past and it's not the current reality, then we're kind of left with this strange universe that coexists with our own normal universe, which is exactly what the Vanni Network is for the Pizzaplex. Similar, but clearly different worlds. Alright, back to the rat. It's not that it's a big deal that we're able to bring items into this alternate reality. However, in order to progress a mission, we are required to bring a rat from the pit into the real world. A live one at that. So apparently things that exist in this fake reality can become real upon going into the real world. And it's not just this rat, we're also able to collect coins that stay with us. But maybe all those things were either dropped or crawled into the pit, but clearly that doesn't matter when we finally talk about him. Pit Trap, desperate to keep us and our father, lunges out of the pit where we're able to fight back. But in the 2-star ending of that game, Pit Trap is still there and even attacks Jeff. But as we already discussed, Pit Trap never existed in the real world, meaning he must have originated from the pit. This now means that the pit is able to create anything it wants, and allows that creation to transfer over into the real world. And the craziest part is that this actually happened before. In the ending of Help Wanted 2, we take off the Vanni mask and we witness Glitch Trap arrive in the real world. But Glitch Trap never existed in the real world to begin with. He's technically not the real William Afton, only taking over his behaviors. Alright, already, despite clearly seeming different, the pit's abilities and story isn't far from what we see from modern FNAF and the Vanni Network, and the connections even go a little bit farther. In Ruin, we're able to complete tasks within the Vanni Network, however our actions have consequences in the real world, that somehow playing shoot the targets would cause a bridge to fall from the ceiling. We also see that this happens with the pit, where after Pit Trap smashes through a door, that same door is now broken in Jeff's. We even see that Jeff puts a wet floor sign in front of it and that a robot is placed there in the Pit universe. To recap, that's 3 strange abilities that the Pit just so happens to share with the Vanni Network, both being worlds that just shouldn't exist and defies all logic, but here we are, so what are they? Well, if you know me, then you know how prevalent I am with believing that spirits are existing both in and post UCN. I mean, Charlie being the most clear example, and it would make sense that when we're faced with something so unnatural, that the supernatural are to blame. While I've been trying to piece together all the clues that suggest spirits are still lingering on, Into the Pit is a lot less subtle. In a similar fashion to FNAF 3, in order to get the good ending, we need to beat several arcade-style games, but you can only access them through supernatural ways. That is by calling our mother in the pit, grabbing a bunch of candy from a dispenser, and using the prize machine after getting all the prizes. Only then will Pit Trap be banished from our world. But why? Why would these games have control over the pit, unless there's actual forces inside the pit, spirits trapped within? And this can easily be seen throughout Into the Pit. I mean, the spirits are literally just having a meal while the rabbit is trying to kill us. Like I said, the game is not subtle in the slightest. The gumball machine even starts talking to us before we play its minigame, clearly another spirit. Lastly, it would explain why everything is different from what actually happened. If the pit is really just the memories of the spirits, then it would account for why Pit Trap is this literal monster. To a young child who doesn't understand mascots, this is pretty much what they saw and felt. A literal monster killing them, not knowing that there was a man inside. It's also why the animatronics are going crazy despite the fact we see that the children haven't been stuffed into the suits yet, because to them, they died and woke up behind new eyes, never knowing how they got there. So does this mean that I've acquired another piece of evidence that our spirits are still lingering around in modern FNAF? I'll say so, but that doesn't mean anyone else needs to treat that as fact. Like I said, there's definitely connections between the Vanni Network and the Pit. However, I will admit that the Pit hasn't shown all the abilities the network is capable of. Not to mention, this is all without tackling the actual canonicity of such a story. It's just when I hear things from game theory that apparently Plush Baby has made its way into the story that I have to step back and try to figure out where Scott is trying to make a connection. The most clear being Ruin and Help Wanted 2. But you can't really be sure of anything, not even if the person who made it to the end of this video will subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a nice comment below. And with that, I want to try something new. Since you made it to the end of this video, you get a choice in what video I make next. Just leave a comment below with your decision or suggest any alternative option you'd like me to cover.